Latest, look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really...
Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith are at it again, calling out their side for drifting away from the voters they claim to represent. These two lifelong Democrats believe their party can beat Trump, but only if it's willing to drop a few toxic habits. Could you please specify what those habits are? Let's find out.
Trump is cool now. He's not just the most powerful guy in the world and just made himself like the richest. He's actually kind of at 78.
Yes.
I mean, rappers.
Maher's absolutely right. The surge in support for Donald Trump is nothing short of astonishing. Not long ago, the very idea of Trump reclaiming political momentum seemed laughable, especially after the relentless attacks from left-leaning media outlets. They painted him as unelectable, hoping to bury his political future under a mountain of scandals and outrage. But here's the twist. The more they tried to destroy him, the stronger he became. Trump weathered every headline, every smear, and every attempt to silence him. Now, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. His defiance and refusal to follow Washington's rules have drawn people who once despised him to a second look. In a strange turn of events, the media's obsession with taking him down may have done the opposite, turning him into the very symbol of resistance that millions now rally behind.
He was impeached twice. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week one on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to.
I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do. I kept my promise. I've said it countless times on this channel. Trump understood the assignment. He zeroed in on the core issues that actually kept Americans up at night: the economy, the border, and national security. While the Democrats were busy tying themselves in knots, trying to appease every loud faction on the far left, Trump spoke directly to the frustrations of working-class Americans. He didn't drown his message in academic jargon or performative virtue signals. He talked about jobs, safety, and stability. And that's what resonated. Bill Maher, to his credit, recognizes this too. He's repeatedly warned his own party that obsessing over ideological purity while ignoring bread-and-butter issues is a losing strategy. Trump's strength was never in his polish. It was in his focus. He paid attention to what people felt, not what elites thought they should feel. And that more than anything is why his message still hits home.
Key. Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House.
Beyond their muddled message, the left failed to represent its people truly. Ordinary voters, once the backbone of the Democratic base, began feeling abandoned, unheard, and politically homeless. They watched as party leaders obsessed over identity politics, bureaucratic policies, and elite concerns while ignoring the everyday struggles of working families. Inflation soared, the border spiraled, and crime crept into once safe neighborhoods. Yet, their leaders seemed more focused on Twitter applause than tangible solutions. During the Biden administration, that disconnect only deepened. Promises of unity turned into waves of division and disillusionment. Many voters looked around and realized there was no one left fighting for them. No one is addressing their rent hikes, job insecurity, or sense of national uncertainty. That's when frustration turned into fatigue and fatigue into detachment. As a result, A growing number of Americans are ready to look elsewhere for leadership anywhere but the party that once claimed to be their voice.
Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's real.
Trump remains a thorn in the side of the Democratic Party. And frankly, it's easy to see why. He represents everything the DNC claims to despise: bluntness, defiance, and a total rejection of political correctness. But that's exactly what draws people to him. While Democrats drown in focus groups and sanitized talking points, Trump speaks like the guy at the end of the bar. Raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically himself. For many Americans, that feels refreshingly normal in a world where politicians sound more like PR reps than leaders. As Stephen A. Smith perfectly put it, people see Trump as the closest thing to real. They might not love everything he says, but they trust that he means it. In a time when authenticity is rare and institutions feel hollow, Trump's imperfections have somehow become his superpower, making him both the Democrats' greatest frustration and their biggest political nightmare.
Because when I see, especially in the aftermath of the election, some of the things that transpired with the Democratic Party, you know, in effort to manipulate the election and the vote, it really ticked me off. When you hear people talking about practical things, and then I saw folks on the left basically trying to guilt me into voting for you. It bothered me. I might have ended up voting for Kamala Harris because I didn't like how Trump acts. But what I didn't do was call him a racist. I didn't call him a Nazi. I knew Trump before he ran for president.
Yeah.
We talked on the phone. We talk at basketball games or boxing events. I knew this man. And so some of the things that were being said about him, I knew were not true. And I was saying, come on, y'all.
That strategy of demonizing Trump worked once, but only once. During the previous election, left-leaning media outlets successfully cast him as a national menace, a chaotic figure destined to wreck America's future. The fear campaign stuck, at least for a while. But by 2023, cracks began to show in that narrative. Many moderate liberals, exhausted by inflation, rising crime, and endless culture wars, started questioning whether the real threat was Trump or the establishment that kept warning about him. The media's caricature no longer matched the reality people saw for themselves. Trump, for all his flaws, appeared more genuine, more human, and yes, more relatable than his polished but distant opponents. When voters looked at Kamala Harris, they saw a politician rehearsing her lines. When they looked at Trump, they saw someone who spoke from the gut. That difference, authenticity over artifice, was enough to flip the game entirely.
Because my issues, democracy, the environment, have no protectors now. Because you blew the election, I have nobody standing up for the two issues that are my issues.
Which is?
Democracy and the environment. My two most important issues. Those are not priorities in the new administration.
Well, the Democrats may have lost Bill Maher's trust, but I don't buy into the idea that the GOP is out to sacrifice democracy either. I understand Maher's frustration. He's uneasy about Trump taking legal action against certain news outlets and media organizations he deems dishonest. But let's be real, that's not an assault on democracy. That's someone using the system's own checks and balances. America was deliberately built to prevent any one party or individual from consolidating absolute power between Congress, the Senate, the courts, and the executive branch. It's virtually impossible to transform the nation into a dictatorship overnight. Sure, political tensions are high and rhetoric is reckless on both sides, but the founding framework of this country, love it or hate it, remains solid. It's not a fragile democracy. It's a stubbornly resilient one. And that's what Maher seems to overlook.
Washington, they have the courts, they have the House and the Senate, and you totally left me
And that's another major blunder shielding Kamala Harris from the primaries. Instead of letting her prove herself, the Democrats didn't give her the stage to test her ideas, her stamina, or her appeal with voters. They just handed her the nomination, hoping familiarity would magically translate into enthusiasm. It didn't. For 4 long years, Harris was mostly a background figure, absent from the spotlight, silent on key issues, and rarely showing the kind of leadership presence people expect from a future president. Then suddenly, she's everywhere, plastered across every campaign banner and news cycle, as if voters were supposed to instantly rally behind her. That strategy was doomed from the start. Politics doesn't work like that. You can't build a movement around someone the public barely knows. The Democrats wanted a shortcut to excitement. And what they got instead was a spectacular crash of expectations.
You did. Did you discuss the economy enough? No. You could have discussed the border because unlike Obama, who was quote-unquote the deporter-in-chief, according to the Republicans, because he deported more immigrants than Trump did.
According to not just Republicans, but Democrats. There were Democrats who called him that.
He deported more immigrants than Trump, which means he just didn't talk.
So, the question remains, why are Democrats so furious at Trump for deporting illegal immigrants? The outrage feels selective when you remember that Barack Obama. Yes, the party's beloved icon oversaw more deportations than any president before him. If that's the case, why is the DNC suddenly up in arms? The answer isn't so much about morality as it is about optics. When Trump enforces immigration laws, it's branded as cruelty. When Democrats do it, it's policy. Many critics call this out for what it is: hypocrisy. The truth is, both parties have played the immigration card when it suited their political agendas. The difference lies in the narrative they choose to tell. Democrats are angry not because Trump deported people, but because he did it without apologizing for it, and that more than anything exposes how much of today's outrage is performance over principle.
Office, and day one you sign an executive order that opens the border, and you let more than 12 million immigrants cross the border illegally, and you don't think that's going to be a...
In fact, Biden's administration effectively unraveled much of what Obama had built on border control by allowing over 2 million people to cross into the country illegally. And what happened next was predictable chaos. Many of these migrants lacking proper vetting or oversight ended up fueling underground economies. Illegal drug sales, human trafficking, and other criminal activities that now plague American cities. Neighborhoods once considered safe are now grappling with rising crime rates and strained social services. This isn't just a policy failure. It's a national security disaster that could have been avoided. And now, ironically, it's Trump who's trying to clean up the mess. His approach might be firm, even controversial, but at least it acknowledges reality. Borders matter, and laws exist for a reason. Biden's leniency didn't create compassion. It created a crisis. And it's the average American who's left paying the price for that political gamble. In the end, it's clear that the Democrats' contradictions are catching up to them. From shielding Kamala Harris to mishandling immigration, their moral outrage often feels selective and politically convenient. Meanwhile, Trump, despite his flaws, has tapped into the frustrations of everyday Americans who crave order, safety, and authenticity. If the Democrats truly want to reclaim trust, they must face their inconsistencies head-on. Until then, they'll keep losing the voters they claim to understand. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.